Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're doing another video on what it takes to keep a BMW reliable year upon year. So let's get on to the video.
What? Goddamn, get it done, will ya? Woo. When the blow up now, everybody's so unusual with it. Shit. But said times in his rhymes, cause his memories. We running through New York, so you know.
Okay guys, so another question I get asked literally on a daily basis. I can open my messages and see this one, even on the comments on the channel, is what it takes to keep your BMW reliable. Well, if many of you guys don't know, you can probably see from my videos what it takes to keep these cars on the road. It takes a lot of time, a lot of dedication, a lot of knowledge, a lot of learning how to do certain things and how to work your way around these cars. To keep them reliable, you need to spend a lot of money yearly. If you cater for the fact that I change the oil every 5,000 miles without fail on my M5, on my M52, on my M57, on my M55, you cater in all that oil, which the F20, which is the M135i, I use Liquimoly. On the M5, I use Castrol 10W60. On the M52, I use the Shell 5W40. And on the M57, I use 5W30 Liquimoly also. If you cater in the cost of all that oil in a year and filters, you'll understand how much I spend to make these cars reliable. Now, it doesn't just come down to oil changes. Oil changes are very, very good for a BM, and making regular oil changes is what prolongs the life of your BMW engine and keeps them running perfectly and healthy. But obviously, as we go over reliability, there is other things that can fail. And this is one of the reasons why I'm doing a talking video and not showing you around one specific car, because people seem to think it only relates to that specific car. But BMW as a whole can become reliable depending on how much money you're willing to put into that car. If it's a car you want, you desire, and you care about, you will put whatever the cost into that car. If you're doing the work yourself, nothing on BMW is ever going to be expensive. If you're taking it to a garage, on the other hand, every time they ring you with how much it's going to cost, it's going to come up so expensive, you're going to regret owning that car. For instance, you can buy 6 spark plugs for around £120, but if you go to a garage, they're going to charge you around £180 for all 6, and then their labour on top, which will probably be about another £130 plus the VAT. So you're going to look about £400 just to change spark plugs, where you can do it on your own for around £120 within 15 to 20 minutes. So these are the things you have to factor in to make your car reliable. There's also other parts that are going to fail. Everyone knows that. And that's why you have to be ready for when it actually fails. A lot of people, what they end up doing is the part will fail. They'll continue to drive that car until another part fails, and another part fails, and another part fails. And we see that on the M52 all the time. People's solenoids will fail. They'll try and clean them, stick them back in, and just keep driving it as if nothing's happened until a bigger problem arises, till the timing chain jumps its teeth, or the head bolts pull out, or where the car just ain't running anymore, and then they get rid of it. And that is not the way to keep a BMW reliable. The next way to keep a BMW reliable is to make sure you have a proper scan tool. Now, many of you are going to sit here saying to me about ISTA, but let me be honest with you, in this day and age, the way China has invented so many different tools, you no longer need ISTA. A lot of you guys will see I don't use ISTA anymore on my BMs because I have no need to. I have so many scan tools. My most go-to scan tool now is the AutoFix D1. Now, every scan tool you guys would have seen on my videos, they all can read these BMs perfectly and do everything ISTA can do, because they're all bi-directional, they can all program, and they can all code. The only time I mostly use ISTA or I use eSystem is if I need wiring diagrams or I need to code on my S-series or program. That's the only time I'll use the laptop. Apart from that, if I need to do diagnostics, I go straight to my AutoFix. I don't ever use ISTA anymore, and that's being very, very honest with you. Yes, I know I used to rate ISTA, but this day and age, we're in 2021. We are going forward, and China have blown ISTA out the water to the point you no longer need that. And BMW somewhat actually did that by trying to restrict the software from personal use, which they did, where people had to start doing it illegally, installing it on people's systems illegally. They pushed people so away that China thought, forget this, and ended up inventing scan tools that can do it all. Now, providing you've got a proper scan tool, and I don't mean a cheap, crappy one like you know, many of the scanners I've shown you, which I tell you not to buy, and you have a proper scan tool and it is worth investing in it, yes, it seems more expensive, but in the long run, it's going to pay off and save you a lot of money getting the correct code, then the wrong code and giving you misguidance. And the reason I state that is because, especially on the M52, and we see this a lot, it will throw a P0 code, which will be cam correlation. Now, when that comes up, what ends up happening is people think it's their camshaft sensor, when in fact, it's their actual solenoid. And it will do that on the M5 as well. People will think that their camshaft sensor's gone bad because they're using very cheap scan tools. Now, if you're using a scan tool like the Autel or you're using something like the AutoFix, that will throw up a 2BA2 or 2A82, which will be for Vanos solenoid inlet. On a cheap scanner, that will give a code for cam correlation, position A, which is not the correct sensor. And this is how people misdiagnose them and end up with them becoming unreliable because of getting the wrong codes. So if you're using a proper scan tool like I use, you'll get the correct codes all the time. You'll be able to diagnose your car correctly all the time. And that is what will keep your car reliable. Why, you ask? Simply because you'll be able to plug it up, get the correct code, not run rings around the car, replace the exact part that's actually failed, get your car running back tip-top condition. When you're replacing all these other sensors that this scanner is giving you the wrong codes, all you're doing is leaving the problem to run even more right on that engine, causing your car to become more and more unreliable and end up leaving you stranded on the road. Now, as I said, there is a lot to do with reliability on these cars, especially scanning them correctly. A lot of garages misdiagnose them, you people misdiagnose them, and then you're sitting there complaining that the car is unreliable. A lot of it being unreliable is based on you. It's not the car, you bought that car, it's how you treat it, it's how you maintain it, it's how you diagnose it, and it's the car that you bought from the other idiotic owners that never looked after it before you is the reason why it's unreliable. The manufacturer and the car is not responsible for your actions. Please bear that in mind. A lot of people like to blame the brand, but I blame them. They are irresponsible owners, and that is what makes these cars unreliable, because a lot of people will buy a neglected one, run it into the ground, and then expect it to keep running and keep running. The one good thing about BMW is when something gets out of hand, the car will shut down full power. And that's one thing I did like about what BMW did, especially with the M5. The moment it detects any slight knock or any kind of thing on the engine, it will throw the car into reduced power. And the reason BMW did that is to stop idiots driving these cars when a check engine light is on, and to stop them being able to drive it and make sure they repair the car properly, or they're going to be forced to sell it and give it to someone who will repair it. That is something BMW do. And a lot of people like to say this is why they prefer to a Lexus, because it don't do that. But that's why them cars get hammered into the ground, because of idiots driving them who don't want to put the money in. You cannot expect these cars to be reliable if you are not willing to do the work that is needed to keep these cars reliable, or you are not willing to diagnose it and get the problem fixed the moment the problem comes up. A lot of the unreliability issues is based on you. You picked the car, you made the car unreliable, you are responsible for repairing that car, not the previous owners. You bought it from the previous owner the way it was. You are now the new owner, so you are responsible for the repairs, the maintenance, and looking and making sure that car is reliable. So do not blame the car when it goes wrong, because you couldn't be bothered to put your hand in your pocket and pay for the parts needed to repair your BMW. That is how you make a car reliable, is by maintaining it correctly and doing everything on time, diagnosing properly, and you will have the best driving experience you can ever get from any manufacturer on the road. So I hope this video is actually going to clear up a lot of the issues of how to make a BMW reliable, guys, because I am sick and literally sick and tired of getting messages every day on how to make a BMW reliable. Reliability is all based on you, and you are responsible for making this BMW reliable. It's not the manufacturer's fault. It's not the previous owner's fault. It's your fault. If you decided to buy a neglected BMW from the previous owner, more for you. It is nothing to do with the manufacturer, so do not blame them. Do not blame the car. I blame you. You're the idiot, and that is a simple fact. You make that car reliable. Go out, pay for the parts, repair your car, and make it reliable. Thank you very much for watching, guys. It's BMW Dr. Dean here, and goodbye.